Hey everyone, welcome to GHT Time where we discuss all things General Hospital. So guys, don't forget to hit that bell notification so you'll know when we drop a new video. And I would say get your tea, get your snacks, put your feet up, and let's get ready to recap this very eventful episode. GA's Daily Recap, Thursday, February 5th, 2026. So, guys, this was a jam packed episode. We had a lot of people there: Willow, Drew, Trina, Portia. So, let's see what our favorite characters are up to. Brooklyn and Chase are at the diner having some lunch, and Brooklyn tells Chase, make sure that you stay underneath the radar so you can get your job back, right? So, Chase agrees. He says he's going to really stay clear of any kind of stuff so he can get his job back. Chase goes to the counter to place an additional order or something like that, and he overhears Molly talking. Molly is saying that she interviewed Michael. So when Molly gets off the phone, Chase is like, "Isn't that a conflict of interest?" And Molly is like, yeah, but she gives like say why she did it, blah blah blah. And then Chase goes in and says, "You should excuse yourself." And Molly is like, yeah, this is not for you to say. This guy is suspended, and she just got up and walked away. Brooklyn is looking at Chase like, "Are you crazy?" So when he comes back over, she's like, "What are you doing?" So he's telling her, Michael's it's Michael who did it and this, that, and the thing. And Brooklyn is like, "You have to stop." And then Chase actually gets mad at Brooklyn and walks out. He's like, "You guys don't see it's Michael." His career's over. All right. His career is over. At the Quartermaines, Michael updates his parents on his decision on letting Willow see the kids. So Carly's having a fit. Carly's like, "You shouldn't let the kids see her at all," and you know how Carly is. Um, Sonny is happy that Michael finally gave in and let Willow see the children. Um, Michael explains to Carly why he did it. He was saying that, they're probably going to bring me up on charges. So this is a better situation instead of just taking the kids away from him. Michael also told his parents that if Willow was to get sole custody, he's taking his kids out of the country. He's just going to live on the run. And eventually Carly settles down and, they kind of just summarizing what's going on and why Michael did what he did. So while Sonny and Carly and Michael are wrapping up their conversation, Brooklyn and Chase walks in, and Carly leaves. Michael leaves. Brooklyn asks Sonny, "Can you come with me? Because I just want to talk to you real quick about some business." So Sonny goes with Brooklyn off in another room to discuss the business. Chase is there, sees Michael's keys, and starts thinking about, I guess, the conversation he had with Brooklyn and Molly about there's no connection with Michael being able to get into Drew's, Brooklyn has said, there's no proof that there was no forced entry, stuff like that. So I guess this is where that key is going to come into play. I don't know. It seems kind of weird because I'm like, if you're going to do a crime, why would you take the key and put it on your key ring and just leave it there? Like, who's going to believe that Michael would do that? Like, no one would do that. Even the worst of the worst criminals wouldn't take the key that they went and broke into somebody's house with and leave it on their key ring. So this is a silly setup, but I'm sure they're going to think Chase did it. So I don't know. I think Brooklyn and Chase are going to be looking for a new place to stay soon. Lucas and Liz were talking about Willow taking on being the caregiver of Drew. And they both can't believe that Willow is going to do this. They think that Drew should be in a facility. Now, I would say, I know what they're thinking. They're like, "Oh, this is going to be so much for her." Drew has a lot of money. So I'm like, he really doesn't really need to be in a facility. I mean, he can have round the clock care even if Willow wasn't there. So I didn't really understand this. I guess everybody's kind of shocked. Like, why would Willow do this? But to me, it's not, that part of it is not really shocking because Willow's not going to be taking care of him all by herself. And he has a boatload of money. I mean, why not take the money and be able to stay in your own home and just have round the clock care? But they think Willow should put Drew in a facility and they can't believe she's taking him home. So Elizabeth is talking to Willow and saying, "You sure you want to take on this responsibility? I can tell him that you changed your mind and we can get Drew into a facility. And Willow's like, no, it's okay. I want to do this for my husband and I'm taking him home. Now, we all know that Willow's only taking this man home because she wants to torment him, one. Two, she got to be careful because if Drew gets any kind of get back to him, like starts being able to speak or be able to communicate in any way, he's going to tell everybody that she's the one that did it. So it's better if he stays home so she can keep an eye on him. Later on, Rick comes by. He brings Elizabeth some flowers and kind of says, you know, how are you? Because he hasn't spoken to Liz in so long. So I guess he's trying to put the feelers out to see if Liz is still interested in getting back together with him. And I guess because they don't have anything for Liz to do, they probably really should stick these two together. Maybe Liz can make Rick be on the right path. And Liz really does need something to do. So I'm kind of interested to see if they're going to pursue this and let Rick and Liz get together. So Willow takes Drew home. And she's talking to Kai, and she says everything is together. I'm going to get him to his room, blah, blah, blah. And when Willow gets Drew into that room, you know, she starts talking to him, and she told him straight up that she was the one that pow-powed him. So Drew's eyes are like, what? He knows now he is in a world of trouble, right? This is his caregiver. He can't communicate with anybody to let them know that he needs some help. So he is getting ready to get comeuppance times 1,000. And we are going to see how deep the rabbit hole goes with Willow, how far she's going to go in getting Drew back. Isaiah and Portia were met up at the hospital, you know, between their rounds. And he said he was happy to see her, that she's back. She's no longer chief of staff, co-chief of staff. She's just a doctor at the hospital, which is probably better for her anyway. And she was just telling Isaiah that she's happy to be back. But everybody at the hospital is gossiping about their relationship. They're going to gossip anyway. And, you know, I kind of like Portia with Isaiah more. She seems more at ease. Hopefully her lying ways will stop with Isaiah. But Isaiah is being very patient with her. He's, you know, just kind of letting Portia go with the flow. They're both staying at the cabin that he built. They made a mention of that. So they're living there, and then they make the commute into work together. So I just kind of, we know this is Soapville, so they got to put some soapy drama in there. But right now, Portia and Isaiah are having a good relationship. The baby, she's like, I just want to do this, the baby on my terms. She doesn't want to feel pressured into doing this paternity test and anything like that. She's just going to kind of just let the pregnancy be and see where everything goes. Curtis goes to see Alexis to ask Alexis, can she bring up a court case to force Portia to have this paternity test? Because he wants to know if he's the father of this baby. Look, Alexis said no, she ain't doing that, because she was like, whatever. After what happened at the court, where she pressured this woman into confessing that she was pregnant and cheating on her husband and stuff like, she was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be involved in any of this. She did tell Curtis legally he could go and get a court order to make her have this paternity test, but she thinks that he shouldn't start this pregnancy off like that. Just kind of let Portia go with this, and he will find out eventually. Curtis doesn't want to know. He wants to know now. He doesn't want to hear that. He's like, he kind of want to force Portia to finding out the paternity of the baby. So Alexis doesn't think it's a good idea. She told Curtis, I think you should just go over and talk to Portia and see what you guys can work out. Curtis goes over and tells Portia that he wants her to have a paternity test again, right? So she's just looking at him, and she's like, this is what you came over here to the job for. So he was like, I want you to have this now, and if you don't do it now, I'm going to go get a court order. And Portia kind of put a foot down and was just like, look, no, I'm going to do this pregnancy on my terms. And she walked off. I understand Curtis' plight. I get it. He wants to know if he's the father of this baby. My concern is Portia's got to be 50, right? I'm going to say 50, maybe 49, 50. She's in that range of, you got to be real careful with this pregnancy. For her to have a paternity test, this is just going to stress the baby more. I think Curtis wants to know, and I think that the things that he is going to lead up into is going to make this woman may not have this baby. And I think he should just relax for a few minutes and wait till the baby's born and get the paternity test. But that's my opinion. On the other hand, Portia might want to have the paternity test so she knows she can just go on about her way. But I think she might also be putting it off, because once Curtis finds out he is the father, he is going to be on her. Like, he's going to be there all the time. And I'm just like, it's going to be too much. The one thing Portia did say she liked about being with Isaiah, it was no stress. It was just those two being together. She didn't have to live up to some kind of expectations and stuff like that. I know there's a lot of Curtis fans out there, but I do not like the way they write his character. They make him very self-righteous, and if you do the slightest thing out of not rightness, he is ready to just be like, I'm out. And that's my concern with him and Jordan. Because once Jordan does something that he's not gonna like, is he just gonna break out like that? I hope not. I just don't really care for Curtis. But I think Curtis needs to take into consideration Portia's age, and that they may want to wait for a few minutes before she has this paternity test. Rick and Molly were talking, and Molly just told Rick about what's going on with her and Cody. I can't believe Cody is still not speaking to her. That's kind of ridiculous. But Rick did tell Molly, if you really do care for Cody, you should really go and maybe make the first move. You know, because you can let him know that it's not him and blah blah blah. I don't know. I feel like Cody is acting like he's 2 years old. But yes, Molly said I guess she's gonna go make the first move and see if she can salvage her relationship with Cody. Justine was having a conversation with Jordan about Sonny, and how when Jordan was in charge, that, what does she think, and stuff like that. And it was like a specific case she had brought up, and Jordan gave her views on Sonny. But Justine made a valid point. She was like, do you think that the PCPD always blaming Sonny for a case? And a lot of times he wasn't even responsible for it, like, waste of resources. So I think that's true. If you notice anything that happens in that town, they're like, it's Sonny, Sonny, Sonny. And I'm like, why maybe I should investigate 2 more minutes before you blame Sonny. And Sonny's involved with a lot of stuff, but they blame him for everything, right? So Justine brought that up, and then Jordan did come back around though, and she said, be careful with Sonny, because there was a lot of people that think they could take him down, or, he has a way of getting into people's lives. People will think that he's this good guy and stuff like that. So Jordan kind of gave Justine a warning that she's not as slick, I guess, as she thinks she is, but we all know Justine's gonna wind up falling for Sonny eventually. So Kai and Trina. Trina went over to where Kai was at. Kai is at Drew's, right? And helping Willow get set up for Drew's arrival. And Trina went off. Trina was like, you need to get your stuff and get out of here. Like, when this lady is not stable, you should not be here. Let's go. Kai is like, he feels bad because he knows that Willow is not stable, and he feels like he should be there to help because he knows the truth. And he was saying, well, when Trina wanted to go to the police, he should have listened to her, and they should have went to the police. And he just feels bad, and he wants to stay and help Drew. Kai, Trina was 100% right. I would not feel like you should stay in that house. That woman is not stable. You don't know what's going to happen when she finds out that Kai knows the truth, right? Or Trina knows the truth. Who knows if she's going to go after both of them or get rid of Kai? So I'm like, I agreed with Trina 100%. But Kai with himself, you can't tell him nothing, so he going to stay up in there. And Willow is not stable. Kai and Trina went over to see Alexis, and they were letting Alexis know that Willow's taking Drew home. Like, Drew's home now. And Alexis couldn't believe it. She was like, oh, she's going to take care of her in the house? Why is she doing? And then Alexis just left it. She did tell Kai and Trina, if you see or hear anything, make sure you come straight to me and tell me. So we will see where this leads to. I hope that all three of these people don't get hurt by Willow, because I feel like Willow is slowly progressing into something worse, and I hope they don't let her go straight off the rails, but we shall see what's going to happen with that. So guys, that was the end of the episode. If you haven't already, hit the bell notification, hit the like and subscribe, because it really helps the channel. And thank you for joining us at GHT Time, and I will see you again shortly. Bye.